In today's video, we're going to be reviewing the Corsair 3000D RGB Airflow PC case, which I have right here. And yeah, if you didn't see the previous video, we've actually built a nice £800 gaming PC using this case. Now, this case costs from new £80 on Amazon UK at this current moment. And I think it's decent value, but we'll kind of talk over in a bit more detail now of what I think is good about the case, what I think could be improved, and just kind of give you a sort of a general review of the case overall and the build process and everything like that. So hopefully you stay tuned for this one, guys. So yeah, like I said, £80 on Amazon UK, which is decent value, and I actually brought this used for only £70, so that's not too bad. And the only thing I did think on it was there's a little dink on it here, so it is used, so it's okay. But yeah, that did spoil it a little bit, just seeing that little kind of dent and little thing on the side there. But it's not a major issue, and again, the case is perfectly usable, so it's fine. But again, if you bought it from new, obviously you wouldn't have that problem. But yeah, now trying to get this all in shot, I do apologise. It is quite difficult because I don't have a lot of space and what have you, you know, in this room. So I'm trying to do the best I can. Hopefully, as well, you like the new lighting I put in the back there in the background. Those sort of blue lights and stuff. So yeah. Anyway, I'll show you some B-roll of the actual fan so you can actually see the colours. I've only put it into a blue colour just for one colour, but yeah, they're fine. So yeah, at the front we can obviously fit 3 120mm fans, and that actually it comes pre-installed in this RGB version with the free RGB fans from Corsair. And they're already, like I say, pre-installed for you, so you don't have to install them. They're not, they're not like loose in the box or anything stupid like that. Already pre-installed for as an intake to actually take air in. And we obviously have this quite nice sort of dust filter or sort of like mesh in the front there. I don't think it actually has a separate dust filter. I think it is actually just the mesh, I think. Yeah, so just pulling that out, and actually there isn't a separate dust filter there, so that is what it is. But yeah, there's nice free fans there. Three decent Corsair fans there. So yeah, in terms of radiator support at the front anyway, we do actually have 360mm radiator support. So you can put in those big radiators. So yeah, 360mm radiator support there at the front. You can obviously go with the 280 as well. It can fit two 140mm fans here at the front as well. So although I think there certainly isn't support for 3 140mm fans, so that's just not going to fit. There's just not going to be enough room there. But you can get two there instead if you want two, sort of like one there and one there. Now, interestingly, with the top, you know, this is a nice dust filter here, but it looks like there isn't actually radiator supported at the top. So that's actually a really odd thing with this case. And yeah, looking at it now, it does look like that motherboard is a little bit too close to the top there. That's a little bit of an interesting design flaw, although I think the reason why they've done that is because they've wanted a bit more of a shorter kind of case, or a little bit, you know, so it's not so it's, the height of it is not so so it's not so high basically, and a little bit, you know, a little bit more of a cut down sort of you know, mid tower. You know, obviously this is a mid tower anyway, but it's a little bit more of a cut down one as well. So obviously the room at the top is quite limited. Now you obviously can fit two 120mm fans as well as two 140mm fans in here. But it looks like it could be unofficial. There might be radiator support, but looking at it here, I don't think there is any radiator support at the top. So that's what I'm going to say, which is disappointing actually, because, you know, really, you know, that seems a bit of a miss site for me. I mean, all they would need is an extra 2 centimeters at the top there, or 2 or 3 centimeters at the top, and you could probably get a radiator there. The front I/O is actually pretty decent, to be fair, although I don't like that there's no USB-C port. That's the only thing I would say. You do get the 2 USB 3 ports with a big clicky power button, and then you do get a combined headphone and microphone jack, which I don't like as well, and then you get the reset button. So not bad, but yeah, not fantastic. So yeah, moving to the back here, just one fan support there for one 120mm fan. So again, not fantastic, but sorry, no pun intended. But yeah, and then it just moves up and down on those little rails, so you can position it where you want. But yeah, obviously we've got full ATX support here because we've got the 7 slots. That's where your I/O goes, but that's pretty standard. Again, all just pretty standard at the back. There's not really much to say here. You know, just a standard mid-tower ATX sort of setup, I'd say there. I'm moving to the underside of the PC now, just a removable dust filter for your PSU there, which actually, to be fair, is one of the better ones, which is actually like a fully removable one, an actual proper one, rather than one of those fiddly ones that you have to kind of put in place. And then you've just got your drive mounts there as well. We'll talk about the drive support in a bit. And obviously the actual feet is actually quite good there, quite big feet as well, so that's nice. Now in terms of drive support, it actually looks not fantastic, but it's okay. Now there was the separate drive bay which I took out, and I'll just show you footage of that, which you can fit 2 3.5-inch drives, and I think it's also compatible with the 2.5-inch SSD drives as well. So 3.5-inch hard drives, obviously, or the 2.5-inch SSD drives. Now, I do think you can fit 2 more SSD drives, or the 2.5-inch drives, on the rear, but I think you might need like a separate accessory to actually have the little caddies or something, because I don't think the caddies actually came with it, which I think is a real downside, actually, and that's pretty bad, I think. So I don't know. I'll maybe look into it after I've done this video and see if I can put anything down below about it more. But I think you might have to actually. I mean, you can obviously just stick them to the back, which is probably what most people would do, just with a bit of double-sided tape and just stick it to the back, which is probably what I would do actually if you've got SSDs. But I think there is separate drive caddies you can purchase from Corsair, obviously, but I think that's pretty bad not to include them. So that's going to go a little bit down, in my opinion. Cable management space is absolutely fantastic. I think there's about 29mm here. So even if you've got messy cable management like me, you're going to get away with it. So yeah, I mean, overall, absolute, yeah, pretty much A star. Well, I wouldn't say it's a perfect cable management. The only thing I would like to have seen is maybe some more cable tie down points here, and also maybe 1 or 2 Velcro straps to kind of strap the actual cables around. Which could have been included. I mean, they do include a lot of cable ties, so you can do a decent job, but those reusable sort of felt Velcro strap sort of things, which are really, really nice, you know, but again, those are more premium cases, and this is kind of more of a, I wouldn't say, well, I say it's kind of a premium, but it's kind of more like a budget premium case rather than a premium case. Especially for the base model is £70 without the RGB fans, and then obviously £80 for the RGB fans included. And to be honest, the base model I don't think it's worth it at all. If you're going to get this model, you've got to get the free RGB fans with it. Otherwise, it's just pointless buying the base model, in my opinion. Now, obviously, moving to the main event, which is the front of the case, and we do have absolutely fantastic support here. Up to 360 centimeters, up to 360, that would be a hell of a long GPU. Up to 360 millimeters rather than centimeters, 36 centimeters, obviously, for your GPU clearance. So, you know, really quite a lot there, if you can see right the way to there. Now, obviously, once you put like fans and also a radiator at the front there, well, actually, if you put fans at the front, it's fine, because the fans are actually pointing to the front of the case, if you know what I mean. So they kind of start here and then go to there. So obviously they're not going to, that 360 millimeters of space is fine. Obviously, once you put a radiator there, you'll probably cut down probably cut down to, I would say, about 330 millimeters, depending on how thick your radiator is, obviously. But you might only get 320 millimeters, obviously. It depends if you've got a very thick radiator or what have you. But even 330 millimeters for your GPU clearance is absolutely fine. Pretty much any GPU on the market is going to be fine for that. So not a problem with the clearance there. And also CPU tower height as well. So if you've got one of those CPU tower coolers like I have, it's 170 millimeters for your maximum support there. So again, pretty much any cooler on the market, maybe one or two of the Noctuas maybe might not fit in there, but you know, you'll certainly get like a Thermalright Peerless Assassin or something like that in. So absolute fantastic support on that side. So big props up on that side, I would say, to Corsair. And as I said before, full ATX support here for your motherboard. Now, obviously, you can go micro ATX, or you could even go ITX if you really want to in this case. But again, you really shouldn't do ITX in an ATX case for sure. But yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, just don't do ITX in an ATX case. That's stupid. But micro ATX you could get away with, and it will look a little bit funny at the bottom there, but you can get away with it if you really wanted to. But again, full ATX is what you want, really. There's no eATX support, but again, I don't think really anyone's using an eATX board at the moment. So, I mean, potentially it might be there. I mean, looking at it, it's potential that it could actually work. There's potential that it could work, but it isn't officially supported. Let's put it that way. Now, something I didn't like with the PSU Stroud, although the PSU Stroud's nice because it's closed off, which is obviously good, there's no sort of separate cutout here for your cable to route up to your graphics card for your PCIe cable. You know, your power cable for your graphics card. So I would have liked to seen that in the actual PSU Stroud, an actual cutout for that cable. But you know, not too bad. You can obviously route it in one of those holes at the bottom there instead, where you put your I/O in for your motherboard. But again, it would have been just nicer to have that dedicated hole. But anyway, I do quite like that sort of little cable bar thing which you've got going over there, and it kind of just hides behind everything, so it's okay. Some people might not like it. Some people might want more of a closed off look, but certainly once you put that back panel back on, it does look all closed off and it's fine. Obviously without the back panel on, you can obviously see right through that gap here where you can see my hand. But yeah, some people might not like that, but I think it's fine once you put the back panel on. So yeah, just putting the back panel back on now, and to me it looks absolutely fine. There's no, you know, you can't see my hand through that bit, and that gap is perfectly fine now. So overall, what do I rate this case? I mean, I certainly think on aesthetics, kind of going to use a out of 5 scoring system like Computer Surgeon has, because I thought that was quite a good idea. So I think for aesthetics, I think I'd say 4 out of 5, pretty decent. Very respectable for a modern case, and I do really like the RGB fans. Really do pop in this case, so I really like that, and I do like that front. I still like that front personally. Again, I know it's opinions, but I like that front mesh here, and I think it looks nice with the fan. So yeah, overall, I think looks are good. Yeah, I can't remember all the sort of points that he pointed out, so I'm just going to try and make up what I think, what I can remember anyway. But anyway, I would say build quality certainly 4 out of 5. I wouldn't say 5 out of 5 because there were 1 or 2 things which maybe because it's a use case as well that I didn't like, but the build quality overall is actually very, you know, it's a very sturdy case. It's actually fairly heavy as well, even just moving it around. It was actually fairly heavy. Obviously now it's a built PC, it's obviously going to be fairly heavy, but even when I first brought it and got it out of the case, I was like, or got it out of the box even, I was like, yeah, this is pretty built well, you know. Now for cable management, I'll say 4 out of 5. It was pretty decent. I think there should have been some more Velcro straps to kind of, you know, get everything down a bit better. That would have been nice. But overall, the cable management is perfectly fine, and about 29 millimeters there at the back, so you won't have any problems putting your back panel on. Everything fitted fine, and yeah, overall, very solid again. In terms of like the more sort of internal design, in terms of sort of support for obviously long GPUs and long CPU coolers and what have you, I'd say that's probably 5 out of 5. I think this is very good. Maybe the only thing is maybe the EATX support maybe could have been nicer, but again, I don't think anyone's really using that in 2025, so that's fine. And overall, I think the GPU support is excellent, and obviously the CPU cooler support is excellent as well. Now, the only thing I would say to that, maybe actually I'll put it to 4 out of 5 now, thinking about it, because the lack of top radiator support, I think, is actually a bit of a downer. Actually, I think the top radiator, you should be able to fit a radiator at the top of a case and at the front, personally. So I think no top radiator support, or at least no official support for top radiators, is a downer, personally. I don't like that. But yeah, let's give our sort of overall opinion. I'd certainly say it's a solid 4 out of 5 case, and certainly a buy. Now, I think personally for £80, I mean, I bought it for £70, which is kind of the price which I think is right, personally. £70 is fair, I think. I think £80 is pushing it a bit. If the base model was £60 and the RGB version with the 3 fans was £70, I think this would be a really, really good deal, and I'd be very much like very, very happy to recommend it. But overall, I mean, £80 is fine, but I think it's just a little bit too much, personally. I think if you can get it for, I certainly would buy it used, personally, if you've got 1 or 2 dinks on it and what have you. I think saving that £10 or £15 is kind of worth it for maybe 1 or 2 little dinks or little things here and there. It doesn't really matter, in my opinion. But I mean, if it really matters to you, just buy it new and just pay the full 80. But it's up to you guys. So yeah, I think overall, like I said, solid case. I think maybe a little bit expensive for what it is, and certainly if you look at the other cases on the market now, it's it really is so competitive, and I think really for £80 you can do better, actually, to be honest. But I certainly would recommend buying this case. Obviously, if you can get it at the right price, that's the only thing I would say. I would try and get it for 70 rather than the 80. I think 70 would be the perfect sort of spot. The problem is, obviously, once you're getting towards that 80 and then potentially £90 cases, you're really starting to get heavy competition. And obviously now the fish tank look is kind of taking over. And I think that's kind of what people are going after a bit more now. So, obviously Corsair have done their 3500X, I think it is, or 4500X or what have you. And obviously that's more of a fish tank sort of style, and that's probably more what people are going to want. So, but overall, I do think this is a solid case, the 3000D. Let me know in the comments what you think. Would you buy this case? Do you like the design of it? Do you think the features are nice and what have you? Yeah, I think overall that is a pretty decent review of this case. Let me know, like I say, below what you think. And obviously, if you would buy this case. And overall, we'll actually have quite a special video next week if you did make it all the way to this point. We've got the RTX 5060 coming down, so that'll be interesting to see what an 8GB card can do in 2025. And as always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.